Good morning here in Lagos. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Yesterday, operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission raided the headquarters of the Dangote Group in connection with ongoing investigation, we understand, into forex allocations in the country. Sources say on arrival at the headquarters of one of Africa's largest conglomerates in Lagos, the EFCC operatives demanded documents relating to allocation of foreign exchange to the group in the last 10 years. They then scrutinized the documents provided by officials of the group for hours, cutting some of them away. We'll also hear that EFCC had written to 52 companies directing them to supply documents supporting the allocation and utilization of foreign currencies to them in the last 10 years. And this has to do with the continuing investigation into the case against the former CBN governor. I'm joined this morning from our Abuja studio by a former member of the House of Representatives, Honorable E.J. Agbonaima. He's also Federal Commissioner with the Code of Conduct Bureau, CBB, and an APC gubernatorial aspirant in Edo State. Honorable, good morning. Good to see you.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Happy to be with you this morning, and Happy New Year to every Nigerians out there, home and abroad. Thank you.
Indeed. Also joining us is Larry Suraju, who is an anti-corruption crusader, chairman of the Human and Environmental Development Agenda header. I understand that Mr. Suraj will join us in the course of this conversation. Honorable, let's begin with the latest coming from the EFCC. They say the raid on Dangote's headquarters yesterday is part of an ongoing investigation into the alleged preferential forex allocations to some individuals and organizations by the Emefiele-led Central Bank of Nigeria. What do you make of this investigation, particularly the fact that it's going as far back as 10 years?
Well, thank you for having me, and I want to say that I have to say this. There's a new sheriff in town, and we have a new sheriff in town, not business as usual. And if I may recall, some time ago, the issue of corruption, of course, that is the major problem facing our dear nation. A lot of Nigerians were eager, waiting to see how we can fight this corruption. But of course, when you fight corruption, corruption fight back at you. And I'm happy that Mr. President Ahmed Tinubu haven't taken the initiative without fear or favor to hit the ground running in fighting the menace of corruption. I think I want to appeal to all Nigerians to support this effort. I could understand that in the past, a lot of investigation being conducted by EFCC. We have some wonderful people in the EFCC, but of course, you also have some bad eggs that corruption have not been able to be brought to bear where Nigeria can celebrate in the area of corruption. So I am happy to see that the new chairman of EFCC is doing everything to make sure that money stolen from the Nigerian people are returned back to our people so that we can use the money to develop our dear country, Nigeria. So, but until proven guilty, you are an innocent. Of course, like you rightly said, it's an alleged. When it is an alleged, it has to be proven in the court of law. But allow the EFCC to do their job without whipping sentiment or try to, not saying all kind of stuff that we are not supposed to say. We should allow them to do their job so that the end will justify the means. Enough is enough that Nigerians deserve the best. We are not there
Honorable,
yet at all.
I'm very sure that you're also following reports of how, the forensic audit of the CBN under the previous governor allegedly uncovered some 593 bank accounts domiciled in the US, UK, and China in which Nigerian funds were deposited without authorization from the Board and Investment Committee of the CBN. Just how damning do you think these allegations are? How endemic corruption is in our system, and what does this mean for our country's corruption perception index?
In every sector in this country, my dear brother, I was in the National Assembly at the time. I moved motion. I investigated corruption that had eaten us deeply in this country. And I got so much support. And I'm happy that the current Chief of Staff was the majority leader, while Dogara was the Speaker. They all supported me. And I can tell you what I was able to unearth with the support and help of the United States Congress and the U.S. Customs. So this corruption we are talking about, it didn't just started yesterday. It is an ongoing over the years that have derailed the wheel of progress of moving this country forward. And I've often said that Nigeria is not broke. So if they are saying about 500 and something bank account, yes, I can testify to that to the extent that even myself, with the U.S. report that they gave to us, especially to me, because I was the chairman of U.S.-Nigeria Parliamentary in the House of Rep. I was the chairman. And I have access to so many documents, you know, that have to do with the way and means and manner that Nigeria has been ridiculed in the area of corruption. But we are still speaking about the issue up to now. I am surprised we have not yielded any fruit, but by the grace of God, and I believe I have so much confidence in this administration that Mr. President Tinubu will do justice. We must face the fact that corruption that has eaten us, we have no reason in borrowing money. And Emefiele, unfortunately, as a Federal Commissioner Code of Conduct Bureau, we investigated him. All these things you are talking about, this happened to be in our privy over the years. But unfortunately, because of bureaucracy, we cannot fight it to logical conclusion. It just started yesterday that Emefiele, as a matter of fact, different bank account with the dubious means of creating wealth for their own selfish interest, not for the interest of the generality of Nigerian people. If you see the poverty in our dear nation, it's as a result of the corruption that has eaten us deeply. And I'm happy that, Mr. President, I've already hit the ground running, that nobody will be spared. No one will be spared. I am supporting Mr. President. I want all Nigerians to support Mr. President, President Buhari. That enough is enough.
Honorable, when you say that the the CCB investigated the former governor, what do you mean by bureaucracy? Was it that he wasn't invited, it didn't come, or did someone ask you to stop the investigation? Can you throw more light on that?
That's a story for another day, you know. To be candid to you and to Nigerians, I lament for this nation, but lamentation will not yield any fruit or result, rather than being aggressive. But we must be able to be proactive, because we are a reactive nation. We must be proactive, put the preventive measure in place to contain and combat the menace of corruption. And that's what Mr. President is about to do, and that's what he's doing. I am saying, yes, we investigated the former governor of Central Bank, Mr. Emefiele. He cannot, and I can say this without missing words, he's one of those that I would say, unfortunately, we're in a country. If it had been that he's from somewhere like China or America, it probably would have been a different issue. But because of the Nigeria where we have found ourselves, that people will say, oh, he always told how much, leave him alone. Not only Emefiele, that the investigation that the Code of Conduct Bureau carried out, if we have followed it up, there's no reason Emefiele will be going back and forward to court, giving bail, and he should have been where he belongs. Because he derailed the will of progress of this country, He messed up this country. How can a governor, just because of one individual, change our currency? The currency was changed because of one particular individual. For his own selfish interest. Because of President Ahmed Tinubu, Emefiele decided to do everything to change the currency. He damaged it, destroying the nation, where many Nigerians died in the course of all this. We can't continue like this.
Let's hope that we're going to see all these allegations, have a conclusive end, because at best there are allegations, and the man in question has been taken to court. But there are also reactions already trailing, the raiding of the Dangote Group headquarters yesterday by the EFCC. Some would say, the Dangote Group is perhaps Africa's largest conglomerate, and that it's troubling that the EFCC could deal with it with such show of force. What do you make of the school of thought that such tactics by the EFCC could discourage foreign investors from coming to Nigeria? Does that make sense to you?
You see, these are the things I always hear often from some of our Nigerian brothers and sisters. Oh, when you are investigating someone, you are deporting investors, foreign investors, from coming to Nigeria. Come on now. You are able to clean our house, making sure that our house is well cleaned of corruption. Those that are coming in, we understand and know for a fact, don't mess with Nigerian government. You must do the right thing. Just like in America. Everywhere, it is known for a fact that as an American, going to go and collect bribe, or China, to collect bribe, and if you are caught, you're going for it. There's reprisal, consequence, repercussion. You go in for indefinite, either by firing squad, by hanging, or sentenced for years imprisonment. But in Nigeria, how many people have we put in jail? Look at the Accountant General of recent. We investigated him for over 211 billion naira stolen. That's the same man that went to court, with Babariga. And that's the same man that has been giving cheaters in title, Ikanu, as a hero. As a hero. Those who stole 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 are in jail. No. Something needs to be done. We can't continue to live like this. We cannot continue. This is totally wrong. Let the right thing be done. Allow the EFCC to do their job. Until proven guilty, you are innocent. It's an alleged. Let proper investigation be done. Let us not try to whip settlement. Oh, this is going to stop foreign investors from coming to Nigeria. Come on now. That is nothing but cheap blackmail.
Honorable, it's hard to, determine whether or not the culture of blacklisting persons who have engaged in one corruption practice or the other has been well entrenched in Nigeria, because you see many people who even leave the courts or prisons to return to the society, well accepted, and even aspiring to, take leadership positions. But let's bring in an anti-corruption crusader into the mix of this conversation. He's chairman, Human and Environmental Development Agenda Header, Mr. Suraj Olanrewaju. Thank you for joining us on the program. So investigators, I believe you're following the conversation from the US, where you're joining us from, I suggest. Investigators, we understand, have in the past months accused the CBN of favoring and enriching some individuals and companies through what they call non-transparent allocation of foreign exchange to them. Do you think we have a track record in this country of seeing investigation of this nature through, especially when it considers, quote and unquote, the high and mighty?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think this actually should be for us a welcome development. Unfortunately, because we had reasons where these high-profile corporate persons and also even organizations escaping the hands of the law when it comes to the issue of corruption. And this really, like you said, unfortunately, we don't have this really track record of ensuring that the high-profile persons, really get to face the music as it pertains to the cases of corruption, high-profile corruption cases. And that is why you have quite a number of them even graduating from the National Assembly to become governors, and even some of them also coming back from governors to become ministers, and quite a number of them are even in the current government. Unfortunately, even the Senate president was accused of corrupt practices and even shunned the EFCC investigation, only to go around and become the Senate president. So what you have yesterday with a company like Dangote is actually a welcome development. It's unfortunate that we've seen where it is not just public office holders alone that are becoming too powerful for the law enforcement agencies to hold to account. But now you have, like I said earlier, corporate establishment. And this is not only just the worst form of impunity that you have in the system. It drives away competition in the system. It also drives away the opportunity to have the economy grow. What you have is a monopoly of only those companies that are favored by certain individuals that are in regulatory and also monitoring agencies within the system.
Indeed. You know that there's a lot of sensationalism that comes with investigation of this type, and we're used to it in Nigeria. A lot of headline, front page reports about an allegation of corruption, but eventually we don't see them through, and that speaks to why we have many people in government today who have had allegations of this type, but they were never convicted. So they will tell you that, that case did not see the light of the day. On the matter of Dangote, there's the FX concession that we've talked about over the years, and that's also one way to explain it, that big companies that provide employment for majority of Nigerians would definitely have some special treatment with the CBN. The question usually has been, what has happened to high-profile corruption cases in the past? Why do you think, we just hear the noise, but we don't see it to conclusion?
Yeah, it is actually not only about government alone or the law enforcement agencies. It is also about media and also the civil society. So we can also be accused of this collective amnesia. And that is why you have quite a number of those individuals and also companies getting away with the blue mother. So we tend to develop this nonchalant attitude to some of those cases. And like you said, we're more interested in just not even a conscious naming and shaming, that you can really appreciate by ensuring that the people who are named are then also publicly shamed. But what we do is just sensationalism to the extent that we only report the news. I saw one of the news reporter, which was reported yesterday, and there was a slant to that case where it was said, openly that, oh, this is one of those cases. And at the same time, as he was reporting as the EFCC visit was reported, the online media was also reporting to the extent of claiming that the corporate body, Dangote, was about taking documents to EFCC. I mean, the media house did not actually state when was the Dangote official invited, when was the invasion happening, so that you can actually tell if truly the documents were taken. So if it was outside the expiration period, and from reliable investigation by our organization, I mean, the invitation was extended almost 3 weeks before the invasion eventually happened. And what you have with this high-profile person is to make efforts within the period of that invitation to start reaching out to high influential persons to prevail on the anti-corruption agency or the leadership of the agency to ward off the invitation or also investigation attempt. So this is for us as civil society and media to ensure that we monitor many of the cases. I mean, for us at my organization, that also we have we still currently operate what we call the high-profile corruption cases compendium, where we document on annual basis 100 cases of high-profile corruption cases and give updates to what has happened, how far the case has been going, for how long has it been in court, what are also the challenges delaying the effective and successful prosecution of the cases. So we must actually keep this kind of intervention and tracks to assist the people to understand, and also tell these suspects that we are not going to forget, and also we're going to ensure that we also hold accountable the law enforcement agencies. So both the government, the suspects, and also the judicial system is held to account by our effective monitoring of those cases.
Absolutely. Let me bring Honorable Agbonayima back to this conversation. Honorable, what do you make of the capacity of our anti-graft agencies to effectively fight corruption? Take EFCC, for instance. The previous chairman was suspended last year, for what government calls weighty allegations of abuse of office. Almost every individual who's headed that agency was disgraced out of office, usually with the same corruption allegations they were appointed to fight. Where does this leave the capacity of the agency to deliver?
Well, thank you for that wonderful question. Let me say this, that they all came in with good intention. Down the line, I guess, I don't know what happened. They now failed to adhere to the principle and the oath of defending the Federal Republic of Nigeria and defending Nigerian people. They fell by the wayside. My prayer is that those that are saddled with the responsibility of EFCC, ICPC, even Code of Conduct Bureau where I worked, we should do the needful and do the right thing to support Mr. President. Mr. President cannot do everything. Every Nigerians, patriotic Nigerians, have a role to play. Seeing a crime be committed, failure to report the scene of that crime to the nearest law enforcement agency, you are as guilty as the man or woman who committed that crime. So we are all obligated to join this force, to join Mr. President in winning the fight against corruption. That is the epidemic, that is the cancer that has eaten us deeply. And I'm praying that the new chairman EFCC, haven't read much of him, and some of my friends have told me how tenacious and commitment and his capacity to drive EFCC to the next step. My prayer is that Nigeria should be among the leading nations. It is possible, it is doable, it is achievable. If all of us collectively join hands with Mr. President to succeed, I am praying. That's my prayer. But I hope that we understand that, look, we took an oath to uphold, to defend the Federal Republic of Nigeria, to fight this menace of corruption, because corruption is our major problem that has eaten us deeply. Nigeria is not broke. If I may recall and tell you, we were talking about Emefiele a while ago. Yes, bank accounts, different bank accounts that I have said before, in the United States, all over the world, billions of dollars in various accounts that are privileged to me, that I saw billions of dollars, not naira, Nigeria's money. Is it about the stamp duties issue that Nigeria is borrowing money against their own money? Emefiele created. Oh, for God's sake. When I see Mr. Emefiele in Nigeria could have that tenacity to be wicked, to be stubborn to your own country, to put your people in disarray for your own selfish gain, what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What he did, not because he did it to ridicule or to make sure Mr. President Tinubu didn't win, but many lives lost. Nigeria died as a result of his action. So that his action, he should pay dearly for it. He should pay dearly for it. All this rigmarole, I'm sorry to say, let me finish. all this Monroe and all those going back and forward, giving bail and all that. This is distraction of justice. Justice needs to be done.
I hear you, Honorable.
It's only Nigeria, people steal billions. They steal billions,
important.
They are being paraded as if they are heroes. There must be consequences.
That will speak to the need to create a system that will make it impossible for individuals to take advantage, of institutions and, and organizations like the CBN. For instance, why do you think we've not been able to operate a system that has the capacity to detect these corrupt practices and prosecute them in the lifespan of the suspect's tenure in office? Recently, the former Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was invited by the EFCC over alleged 37 billion naira fraud. Is it possible to probe these allegations while they're in office?
Let me tell you this, because you brought this matter up about the humanitarian. The former minister, we investigated her. Billions stolen from Nigerian people. Money meant for Nigerian wasn't disbursed. Code of Conduct Bureau did a wonderful job. Our team did excellent job, going from everywhere to monitor, to investigate. Our final report was harnessed. When you see and look, go back to it, you cry for this nation. But what happened? That report died. Died. Because of what? Code of Conduct Bureau, if we want this country to move on with this fight against corruption, Code of Conduct Bureau must be strengthened, must be empowered, because we have the capacity, the mandate to fight corruption. Nobody is above the law when it comes to Code of Conduct Bureau. We can take on anyone. We can take on anyone as a public officer, up to Mr. President. Yes, but let me tell you, the question you must understand is that there are some people that try to derail the wheel of progress for this country moving forward. It didn't start today. It didn't start yesterday. It's an ongoing. For Code of Conduct being not able to walk, to move, it's because some cabal doesn't want us to work. Because we investigated Akata General, over 211 billion that he stole. We've investigated Emefiele for billions and trillions that he stole. We investigated Humanitarian Minister for the billions that belongs to Nigeria that was taken away. What happened to those investigations? What happened? These are the questions that we must ask our dear people. I am sick. I am weeping for this country. And I'm praying that Mr. President, the new sheriff in town, must clean the house and set every agency to go out and do their mandate. EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct Bureau, police, DSS. Come on. Nigeria could be swimming in blessing. God has blessed this country with mineral resources, human capacity, natural resources, but we have been our worst enemy.
Hold that thought for a minute, Honorable. Let me bring Mr. Suraj into this conversation. Mr. Suraj, I remember you asked the question last year about where's the CCT in all of this. You were quoted to have said that the CCT was in comatose and missing in action in the anti-corruption fight. Does this answer your question? If the Federal Commissioner is saying many of the stories we're hearing this year, they actually investigated it, but then it didn't see the light of the day.
No, this actually is a very sad story of some of our anti-corruption agencies. The Code of Conduct Bureau is actually the most potent anti-corruption agency the country established, which is also the only one with a constitutional backing. And this is one of the agencies that would have worked more effectively to prevent corruption, rather than just also spending, billions of naira chasing after some of the corruption cases. Because basically, but the also interesting aspect is many of the corrupt practices result in the acquisition of properties and also bank accounts by the public office holders. And these are areas where the Code of Conduct Bureau would have effectively prevented some of the atrocities from taking place. Unfortunately, the leadership of that bureau in the last more than 4 years disappointed Nigeria and also betrayed the trust by not ensuring that most of the high-profile corruption cases gets effective prosecution before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And the Code of Conduct Tribunal is not only just in comatose, it is completely also being mismanaged. And I get to wonder how this current government can afford to convince itself, much less anybody, that is committed to the fight against corruption. If you've changed the leadership of the ICPC, you've changed the leadership of EFCC, you have removed the chairman of Code of Conduct Bureau, and you have not appointed a substantial chairman for Code of Conduct Bureau, and then also reformed the Code of Conduct Tribunal, where it has, lesser number of the required judges to sit over the tribunal for effective, administration of justice via the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And it's the dedicated court. The Code of Conduct Tribunal is also the dedicated court for just the cases that are brought by Code of Conduct Bureau, which means it can easily prosecute suspects with the speed of light expected for speedy dispensation of some of those cases. And we've seen it happen. Unfortunately, like I was saying, the only thing you found the Code of Conduct done recently was the attempt to also subject itself to the political manipulation by taking on the Kano State anti-corruption chairman, who was at the loggerhead with the past office holders in that state, including the current chairman of the ruling party, and used the mechanisms of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal to charge the young man to court, compared to what you have with public office holders at federal levels, including those previous office holders in Kano. And the only thing you can see is going after and also anti-corruption agency and also ZA at the state level. So the blame is not on Code of Conduct Bureau. As at now, before this government, I put the blame on the Code of Conduct Tribunal and Bureau, but as at now, the blame is actually on the leadership of the APC and also government, and the obvious failure to realize its expected action in convincing anybody about the fight against corruption via effective reform of the Code of Conduct Tribunal leadership and appointing the desired, really competent and proactive person to also lead the Code of Conduct Bureau, just like you have seen some changes with with EFCC and also with the ICPC, to start seeing that changes in Code of Conduct Bureau, and also doing effective prosecution of cases that are investigated by the Bureau.
Mr. Surratt, let me get the Honorable's response to this, because I'm sure that you'll be interested to react to the issues as raised, blaming the inability of the CCB and CCT to function optimally on the APC and the leadership in government. How do you respond?
I'm not able to also hear the commissioner, if I'm able to hear him, so that I can also benefit from his response.
Thank you. Let me say this, that I want to appreciate Mr. President, President Tinubu, for this bold step, for hitting the ground running, because the only way we can have an end result, being able to have enough money to do those things that Nigerians are clamoring for, we have to be able to bring all money stolen from Nigerians' purse. And to answer your question, yes, we have some good people in the Code of Conduct Bureau. We have some good people in the Code of Conduct Tribunal. And we also have some bad eggs. I want Mr. President, our president, apart from appointing chairman, whether chairman of EFCC or ICPC or Code of Conduct Bureau, there must also be mechanism to checkmate what is going on in that agency. Because some people will believe that they are Alpha and Omega. When the position is given to you, is to serve. It's a service to humanity. It's a service because you took an oath to defend or uphold to the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In doing just that, you must do everything humanly possible, everything right that will be written in the book, that when they are judging you, you will be say that, look, this man did a wonderful job. And just to add a little bit to what my friend have just said, yes, I am saying it without fear or favor. I'm not afraid to say it. If we have done our part in the Code of Conduct Bureau, looking at Emefiele, the case against Emefiele in the Code of Conduct Bureau, there's no way he can go scot-free. He violated, he breached the Code of Conduct for public officer. As a public officer, he breached that code. Once you breach the code, you have committed an offense and you must be charged for it. So there's no escape route for him because he knows he breached it. And we did a wonderful investigation. And I'll say it again. At my age, almost 64, I'm not afraid to die because this country belongs to all of us. You know what is painful to me? That a whole Accountant General who's supposed given the responsibility to handle the affair of this great nation stole your money, 211 billion plus of naira. He's walking free, be given, bail, plea bargain, giving, chieftaincy title as a criminal, as somebody has stolen. Why those who stole 10,000, 100,000 are lavish in the jail? It's unacceptable. Are we all not Nigerians? Look, let us not play to the gallery, not play partisan games here. It's about Nigerian people. It's about Nigerian people. I'm a Nigerian. Before anybody, what is going on in our dear nation? Rather, we want to blackmail others. If you want us to solve this problem, let's do the right thing. Let's join hands with Mr. President Mr. Tinubu. Let's join hands with Senator Ahmed Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, GCFRO. Let's join hands with him to succeed. If Nigerians succeed, we'll be all happy to have a good Nigeria. Nigeria can be among the leading nations. Where we are today, we blackmail. At the time, we blackmail President Tinubu. He's this, he's that. To the glory of God, he's the president today. Because God made it possible for him to be president. And we must join hands, whether you are PDP, ABGA, Labour, if you don't belong to any political party, it's about Nigeria. It's about we. Let's do the right thing. Let's queue behind Mr. President Tinubu. The end will justify the means. I have so much confidence on him. I do. I'm not trying to praise him because I'm not a praise worshiper. I'm not a praise worshiper. When you are doing well, support the person.